Howard Stephen Berg is recognized as the world's fastest reader. He is listed in Guinness Book of World Records for being able to read more than 25,000 words in a minute. He says that one of the most issues with reading slowly is that we try to hear words with our eyes which make no sense. He says, imagine that you are driving on the highway at 70 miles per hour while watching your instrument, your GPS, listening to the radio and maybe talking in the phone with your friends. Now you are doing lots of tasks and you might be bored although you can read all four directions of this road. On the other hand, our average reading speed is about 200 words per minute, and despite this low speed we would be lucky if we can remember a high percentage of what we read and retain it in our minds as knowledge. So can someone read faster without compromising his comprehension? And what are the techniques that could be used for a fast, efficient reading? And what does Howard Berg mean by hearing with our eyes? Welcome to From Nerd to Fun, and let's begin right now. Successful people tend to adopt productive habits. They believe that success can only be achieved from constant steady work, which is only realized by having these habits. One of these habits is reading. That's why Bill Gates developed the ability to fast read, which enables him to read 50 books a year with a speed of about 750 words per minute. It is also crucial that we know that knowledge is more important than reading, the same way that destination is more important than walking. It is just a means to an end. Although it seems pretty obvious, it is very important to bear this in mind each time we decide to read. Imagine a huge library with thousands of books and articles inside it, and all these books and articles are yours after a very long journey of reading, and you began to inspect those shelves one by one. Then you found tags showing on each section including self-improvement, traveling blogs, old literature, Facebook posts, science fiction and many other more. Wouldn't it be more appropriate if you find the biggest section is dedicated to topics that you most like and excel at? So knowledge is the main goal. And because reading is one of the fastest ways to acquire this knowledge, it is important to find new techniques that enable us to read faster while increasing our comprehension. Reading speed differs from one subject to another for the same person. The amount of vocabulary that we know plays a big part in our reading speed. Also, the purpose behind reading changes this speed. This makes reading a fun, engaging story as different from preparing for an exam, for example. Now the important question is it achievable by ordinary means to enhance the reading speed, or does it require a lot of practice and dedication? It is important to know that there is no magic pill that can increase our reading speed tremendously in few hours, but still there are few techniques that, if used properly, they can increase our speed and concentration by a considerable percentage on spot, and the results become very significant with practice afterwards. First of all, we shall learn the term WPM, which is word per minute. WPM is specific for everyone, and it is important to know it so that we can monitor our progress. This number is obtained by reading at a convenient speed where comprehension is not affected for 1 minute, and then we calculate the number of words read in this amount of time. One of the most hindering obstacles for fast reading is that we listen to our internal voice while reading, which is called subvocalization. And it is known that we can listen and comprehend in a way faster speed than we speak. This is what Howard Berg meant by saying that our main problem is that we try to hear words with our eyes. There are few easy techniques to come over this issue. The first one is to stick our tongue to the ceiling of the mouth. This provides a small distraction to our minds which disrupts the process of creating this internal voice, even though this distraction is small enough not to disturb concentration while reading as well. The second trick is to use a spacer. This could simply be done by moving our index finger while pointing to the words that we are reading at a constant speed. This type of movement produces some sort of a video to the eye so that it relates to the lines as a moving picture rather than abstract words, which increase concentration and comprehension. That is the reason behind being able to multitask while driving, because we see everything in a form of a moving picture. There is a variation that can be introduced to this method. While pointing at the words while reading, we can start increasing the speed of our finger until we reach the speed that compromises our ability to comprehend. After that, we lower this speed a little. This latter speed will be our best reading speed at this practice point. The last trick regarding this principle is based on making use of our ability to interpret words if they were narrated faster than normal speaking speed. This can be easily achieved if we were able to obtain an audio book for the substance we want to read. This way we can increase the track speed to the limit that does not affect our comprehension. If we are able to increase the speed to 150%, for example, this means that we can save 20 minutes for every 1 hour of normal speed. Another effective technique can be achieved by understanding our eye scanning mechanism. Try to move your finger in one direction at a constant speed in front of someone's eyes, and notice the way in which his eyes move. You will find out that his eyes do not move smoothly across the eye corners, they shift instead from one fixation point to another. This means that our eyes are able to read more than one word per each fixation point. For this reason, when we read with tired eyes, we find ourselves shifting upward and downward between lines. That's because our eyes are no more able to keep these fixation points oriented in one horizontal line. Knowing this, we can try to minimize the number of these fixation points per line. Of course, it takes some practice, but on the long term, the impact can be highly significant. This can be achieved by dividing the line into 2 or 3 segments, and practice moving our eyes between these segments in a try to decrease the number of fixation points per each line. Another helpful tip regarding this is to draw 2 vertical lines on the margins of the page so that the fixation points become concentrated in the center of the lines. Pre-reading is also a very helpful tool to get the whole picture of the book and have an idea about the kind of information provided. We can do that by reading first the titles and subtitles in order to have an idea about the main topics, reading the trigger words, which could be in italic or bold fonts, and also names of people or places. After that, we need to read the questions if there are any of them, as they are the most suitable way to know the important information discussed. Another valuable method to decrease the reading time is skimming, especially when our main target is to extract quickly the value of what we read. For any given paragraph, it is most likely that we are able to reduce it to one important sentence. This can be done through focusing on the first and last sentences of the paragraph, then trying to fill in the gaps by focusing on different terms and names. Now, have you ever finished reading a page then realized that you did not grasp any information out of it because you lost concentration? Then you start reading it from top again to find that you were not concentrating for the second time as well? And this process keeps going on and on? Losing focus might be due to several reasons, but the important thing here is to learn how to decrease it. One way is to use a piece of paper to mask what we read, starting from the top through the bottom of the page. This gives our minds a hint that we can't go back to read the finished lines, which helps enhance our focus. These techniques could be very helpful to increase reading and learning speed. Meanwhile, it is more important to bear in our minds the objectives behind reading so that we can choose our readings carefully and be able to sustain it as a habit. Now, like always, if you have a question that you need an answer for, do not hesitate to post it below, and if you like the content of this video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the ring bell so that you can see our new videos.